Another season in the National Hockey League means another season of dirty data here on the fourth period. That's Aaron Warren and Shane Kelly. I'm Dave Pagnotta. And boys, let's jump right into this and talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets making the big splash of the offseason, bringing in Johnny Gaudreau. Patrick Laine was so excited about that move. He's expecting to have a big season. Can Gaudreau get Laine on track offensively? Is this a good marriage?
It's a good marriage. I don't know if it's anything that puts his team over the hump when it comes to making the playoffs, and that's a difficulty, right? So top line is going to be spectacular. Laine is going to be fed by a guy that's going to command so much attention. Every team has to look out for Gaudreau, buying Laine some time. Makes her first power play better. Voracek jumps up there. Laine's back in the point. But as a team, does it make them a contender in the East with that like log jam of great 8 teams? No, I don't see Columbus improving their position. They just become a more talented team, not a better team.
Yeah, I think for them, this was an unexpected move. If you look at how they had structured their core up till now, they were clearly trying to exit a rebuild, but this move kind of fell in their lap. They're still just a one-line team. You know, you look at the goaltending, it's maybe league average. The D-core is way below league average. He'll help, but not enough to get this team over the hump.
So if it's not the Blue Jackets that can potentially push one of the 8 teams in the East from last season out of the playoff picture, is there anyone that can do that? Are the Islanders in contention? Is there another team, Wardo, that you think might be able to step up and mess around with the logjam of good teams in the East?
So before I give my team, I'm just going to say this. I imagine come season end, before we start the playoffs, it's the exact same 8 teams. Maybe moved by position, but it's the exact same 8 teams are going to make the playoffs. If someone's to supplant them, I'm going to go dark horse. And not in 2014, 2015, I picked the Calgary Flames. Everybody kind of went, and sure enough, they made some damage or did some damage. I'm going to go with the Ottawa Senators, and here's why. I feel like this is a team game in, game out, day in, day out. No matter when you play them, you have to come with your best. It is a very young core group. I like what Dorian's done with his team. He's got greater depth. He's addressed so many issues. And when you see this team and how they play, the identity in which they play hard. I feel like they've got a lot of talent. They've got a young group together there that can make some noise. So if anybody is to do something surprising over the course of the season, I'm going to hitch my wagon to the Ottawa Senators. Please don't at me.
Yeah, we talk about this concept of variance a lot in analytics, and that's, how big a spread is your performance likely to be. And this Senators group, to me, is about as high a variance team as you're going to get. There are so many young players who should improve, but we know the numbers say not all of them will. But if enough of them do, like Aaron said, this is a team that created a lot of expected goals last year. They were a high chance team, but they gave a ton going back the other way. So adding Batherson, adding Sanderson, adding better goaltending, I could see it. The numbers are there to make a case for this team to at least threaten the playoffs.
At no point when Dorian was making his moves over the summer did you scratch your head and say why.
No.
You understood it. The players he acquired played the identity of this team. There was consistency in the acquisition, so I liked it.
Yeah, well, anytime you get a chance to bring in a guy like Alex DeBrincat and his 40 goals and a veteran presence like Claude Giroux, it should make you better, but it's about mixing and matching and combining all those intangibles and making them work together. What about the New York Islanders, guys? A lot of hype was made over the likelihood of change in the offseason. They added Alex Romanov on the back end, and Lane Lambert's now the head coach. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. So is there enough there, Wardo, for this team to make a push for the playoffs?
I don't believe there is. I believe that this is a lot of the same. Romanov had his struggles in Montreal, and it's a new opportunity, fresh opportunity, but he got himself in some trouble with some decisions at times. I believe he's a very talented defenseman, but he's still in that upward swing of learning. The Islanders, to me, until you show me different, I know they're stepping out of the dump and chase that they've been so successful for in the times they got the conference finals, but teams started to understand who they were and played to that. So Islanders are a wait and see. Nothing for me is overly different about the Islanders. I love the fan base and their enthusiasm, but I'm not buying their enthusiasm right now on this team quite yet.
Yeah, Romanov was one of the worst regulars last year in the NHL by pretty much every advanced stat. Really bad possession player, really bad expected goals against, didn't create a lot. Obviously, that whole team was a mess, so maybe you take him out of there and he improves. But to me, the bigger question is you're going from a system where you suppress scoring chances better than almost anybody but the Carolina Hurricanes in the past couple seasons to now a more free-flowing offensive system. And I just don't know if they have the horses to actually play that way. They're going to need a huge level of improvement from Dobson and Wallstrom. Otherwise, I think this team is just going to get caved going the other way.
I agree with Shane that I don't know if the system fits the content of this lineup.
Switching gears to one more team in the Eastern Conference, the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have Matt Murray. They have Ilya Samsonov. Will either of these guys command the reins as the number one goaltender, and will that be the difference maker for this team? Are they any better? Are the chances any better at making some noise this season in the playoffs?
I'm not buying right now, and I'll tell you why. Edmonton is coming out at the start of the season saying, oh, we've upgraded at goal. We brought in Campbell. Well, guess what? It's the cast-off from Toronto. Toronto feels like we got rid of Campbell. We're better. And I'm not buying any of this until I see it. I don't believe that either goalie currently is a 1A by comparison to the 1As around the National Hockey League. Toronto is just basically doing a rapid fire, trying to see who they can get in there to stopgap. And that's really essentially, honestly, what they need. They possess the puck so much. They score so many goals. They need someone who is serviceable. Do I believe that they can get the job done? Yes. Do I believe they're upper echelon in the National Hockey League and going to run with it and they're going to steal games? I don't.
Yeah, if I'm Dubas and the front office has made it very clear that, you know, our playoff performance is riding, or your career is riding on our playoff performance this season, I am a nervous man because at best, I think Matt Murray is a league average goalie. And Samsonov's not even that. Maybe you can make a case that moving away from Ottawa, again, they gave up a lot of scoring chances last year. They didn't possess the puck a lot to a team, like Gordo said, doing the opposite will help. But there is nothing in the data that says that this guy is a savior. And given who else was on the market and what they're paying him, they've really got to hope that reuniting with Dubas is some sort of secret sauce there, because I'm just shaking my head at it.
The magic of the salary cap, if they have to find a goalie come season end, I do not see how they'll do this. Someone that can get them through the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, where they stand right now, there have to be a lot of LTIR going on in the provincial capital.
It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, not just in Toronto, but in the Eastern Conference. The biggest surprise out of Toronto this season might be the fact that they've got a new goal song that'll be unveiled whenever they score, if they do, as early as Thursday. That's Aaron and Shane. I'm Dave. We'll catch you next time here on Dirty Data.